Hey guys, welcome to Podcasts. And today in this session, we'll discuss the topic object-oriented programming, and we'll see the implementation part also. And let's start. So, when we require to write and organize and reusable code, we'll use the OOP, and it is a smarter way to organize the code. It is also used to organize code and model real-world things as objects. Now, introduction to OOP is basically we can say that Python supports object-oriented programming, method of structuring program, and OOP model code as object, and they have attributes that is the data and the method that is the function. Now it is widely used in real world applications like games and web pages, web apps. Now what is object oriented programming? So it is a way to design programming by creating blueprints, that is the classes, and the real objects, that is the instances, and it helps developers to write reusable, organized, and scalable code. Next is the classes, that is the blueprint. A user-defined prototype or blueprint from which objects are created, and it defines the common properties, attributes, and behavior methods that all objects of that type will share. So a class is like a template for creating objects. It defines what properties that is the attributes and actions, that is the method the object will have. Now think of a class like a recipe. Okay. Now moving on, we have the object, the instances, a concrete instance of a class with its own specific data values for the attributes defined in the class, and you can create many objects from a single class, each unique in its state. So object is a real world entity created from a class, and each object has its own copy of data and can use the method defined in the class. Now suppose this example, if a car is a class, then my car and your car are different objects. Okay, so that is the object, the instances. Now next is the encapsulation, bundling and hiding data. So the bundling of data, that is the attributes and the method that operate on the data into a single unit, an object, and it often involves indirect access to some of an object component protecting internal text. So for encapsulation, you can see it means keeping data, variables, and code methods together, and it also allows hiding internal details, protect data. Now example, user cannot directly change the password inside a banking system. Okay, it's protected. So that is the example of encapsulation. Now next is the abstraction, that is simplifying complexity, hiding complex implementation details and showing only the essential features of an object to the user, and it focuses on what an object does rather than how it does. So we can say that it is a concept of hiding complex logic and showing only what is required. So users interact with the simple interface while the internal logic is hidden. Now, for example, if you see a TV remote, without knowing how the TV works inside. So we can use a TV remote. We can see the functionalities or the what we can say. We can see the output of the TV remote, but we cannot without knowing the how the TV works inside. That is the best example. Or you can also say the example of ATM machine. We don't know how the internally the ATM machine works, but what is the main functionality or the output of the ATM is that we can withdraw cash. So that's important for us. We don't want to know the internal details of how the ATM machine works. Now next is inheritance, that is the relationship. So a mechanism, there are new class, subclass or derived class, inherit attribute and method from an existing class, that is super class 2 or base class, and it promotes code reusability and establishes a hierarchical relationship between classes. So inheritance allows us to allow one class like a child to inherit feature from the another class, which can be called a parent. So if a particular class is inheriting from another class, then generally we can say there is a child parent relationship. So it promotes code reuse and avoid duplication. So for example, a dog class can inherit from a animal class and reuse it method. So that is the inheritance part. Then moving on, we have the polymorphism, that is the many form. So the ability of an object to take on many form method can behave differently depending on the object, that and it allows objects of different classes to respond to the same method called in their own specific way. So polymorphism means the same function or method can behave differently for different classes. It allows writing flexible and dynamic code. Also the example is like a function pick might take a dog bark or a cat meow. That is a polymorphism, that is one interface but many forms. Now next is the constructor, that is the object initialization, a special type of method automatically called when an object of a class is created, and it primarily used to initialize the instance variable, that is the attributes of an object with starting value. So a constructor is a special method used when an object is created. And in Python, the constructor method is named as init, and it is used to set initial values to the object attribute. That is the constructor which is used for initializing object. Now, benefits of OOP. First of all, modular code, very easy to understand and debug. Enhances code reusability, modularity, and makes it easier to maintain and scale complex applications. And it provides a clear structure for programs and flows the model, that is a real world entity, and their interaction. So it is reusable. Classes and methods can be reused in another program. Organized, everything related to one object is grouped together. It is also secure with the encapsulation that protects the data, and it is also scalable, that is easy to add features without changing the whole code. Now, for summary parts, we can say that OOP is an essential concept in Python. It has been building clean, understandable, and maintainable programs, and mastering OOP is a key to become a good Python developer. Now, we will understand this concept like encapsulation, abstraction, polymorphism, inheritance in more details while we do the implementation part. So let's move towards it.